This video offers a conducted tour of the Campaign Resources Climate Science Database web app and associated resources. The database aims to show that far from the 97% scientific consensus on climate change claim that we hear so frequently, in fact, a very large number of eminent scientists vigorously dispute the notion that human activity is causing anthropogenic global warming, otherwise known as AGW. So this database aims to identify some of the key scientists, the associated science, and other relevant materials. The web address, it's hosted under the campaignresources.org website and with a path of climate-science-climate client, as you see. When you first open the app, you'll see this set of lists. The list divides the information in the database into essentially four broad categories: scientists, science, declarations, quotations, and statistics. So I'll give you an idea. Let's look at the statistics first, because this shows an idea of the kind of types of information you got in the database. So you can see that there are 2,975 people in the database. At the moment, we have 147 scientific publications. Most of those are peer-reviewed scientific papers. Some are just articles in journals or books or web pages, but most of it is peer-reviewed. There are a number of 11 public declarations and open letters which have been sent to various government agencies and ruling authorities, prime ministers, etc. And these declarations and open letters have been signed by large numbers of eminent scientists. We're also building a list of quotations. This is at its very early stages, various things that various scientists have said. Of particular note, the database contains 735 university professors. And in addition to those, another 619 people who are qualified to doctoral or higher level. Now, they're not all necessarily meteorologists or climate scientists, but the point is that this is the cream of the world's intellectual elite, and they have expressed their views on this extremely important topic of climate science. There are, you'll see, 252 meteorologists, at least 50 climatologists, 39 scientists who've worked for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, and who have subsequently left or made various declarations about the lack of scientific rigor and the lack of intellectual integrity in some of the work that the IPCC does and claims it makes. There's also 42 people who worked for NASA. Again, these are top flight scientists. Number of people who worked for the United States National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. Again, eminent people. And of all the eminent people, there's 9 Nobel Prize recipients, Nobel laureates. 83 of the scientists in the database have published peer-reviewed science, and we have individually checked the credentials and biographical details of 330. I'd like to stress that these figures are a snapshot of where the database stands at this present moment in time. It's constantly evolving. We're always adding new scientists, new science, new quotations, and indeed new categories of fact and knowledge. Okay, So that's given you an idea of what's in there. Let's have a look at how it's presented. You'll see across the top it's inviting you to choose the list to focus on. So as I say, we've got these 4 categories of information. You can look at them in various ways, those categories. You can view them independently, which is the default view, where each list behaves independently. Or you can focus on the scientists, in which case if you select a scientist, then the other lists reflect the science that they've authored, the declarations they've signed, the quotations they've uttered, etc. Similarly, if you select science, if you select a scientific publication, then the list of scientists will reflect the authors of that publication. Same with declarations. You select a declaration, you'll see the signatories of that declaration. Anyhow, it should hopefully all become clearer once we look at the list content itself. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've got under scientists. So there's a list, the individual's title, that's mostly, where there is one, it's either mostly professor or doctor, and that gives you an instant indication of their level of academic qualification. Their first names, last name, the country in which they generally operate. There are some who hold professorships in multiple universities in different countries. We try to reflect the main country. And then we've attempted to assign a star rating to each scientist on the basis of their climate credentials, if you like. Whether, if so, they'll get 1 star if they're a university professor or they're qualified to doctoral level. They'll get another star if they're a meteorologist or a climatologist. If they've worked for the IPCC or NOAA or any of these other bodies, they'll get another star. So that it's a fairly arbitrary system, but hopefully it gives some idea of the ranking. The last column indicates whether that scientist is known to have published peer-reviewed science in a reputable scientific journal. Now, I would emphasize that all the contents of the database are under review. We may revise star ratings. Scientists may have published peer-reviewed science that we don't know about yet, etc., etc. So you can actually, with all of these lists, you can, if you click on a row, it'll actually select that row, and if you've got this toggleable details panel open, it will show you the details for the selected scientist, and the same kind of idea applies in each of the lists. They've all got details panels. So this person here is Dr. Habibullo Abdusamad. I can't even pronounce that. He's a very eminent Russian mathematician and solar astrophysicist, and as you can see from his description, head of the space research sector of the Sun at the Pulkovo Observatory of the Russian Academy of Scientists. Rated 5 stars. He's a Doctor of Science, based in Russia. We've checked those credentials, and he's published peer-reviewed science. Now, each of these lists, you have another option to show toolbars. If you click that on, it will add a filter field here and a couple of other controls on the right. The filter it performs a case-insensitive instantaneous match against all fields. So whatever you type in here, the list will be filtered to reflect only those records that contain that string somewhere in the record. So for example, you might use it if you wanted to get a list of all the university professors. You could just type prof, and there you go. Now the lists are paginated, and there's this pagination widget here. You can select how many items you want to see in each page. You can go 5, 10, let's go to 10. If you go to more than 5, then the list becomes scrollable, and you can just use the scroll bar like that. And you can page through the list one page at a time. You can dodge to the end, you can jump back to the beginning like that. Now you are also able to sort the list. So let's, for example, say you wanted to look at university professors and see them in order of descending star rating. So in other words, the 5 stars first. You notice when you hover over there, there's a little arrow pointing up. So we'll click that, and we'll click it again, and you can see we're now ordered on rating descending. So you've got the 5 star and the 4 star, etc., etc. If you've built a list using filtering and sorting and whatever, and the list focusing facility, and you want to store that information, you can do so. This button here is a download button, and you can download the contents of the list either as CSV, that's character separated variables, which you can import into, for example, an Excel spreadsheet, or you can download it as a standalone PDF document. So let's just do that. We'll download these professors in star rating order as a PDF. You click that, give it a little chance to work, and when it's downloaded, it opens another window, and you can see that this is a list of persons filtered on prof, sorted on descending rating. Tells you there's 738 records there. And you can just scroll down, and that occupies 38 pages. Now you can do the same thing with the other lists. All of those things. Let's have a look at the science, for example. If you select the row, you can get the details of the selected publication. The columns, yes, so there's the title of the article or book or whatever it is. There's the title of the journal in which it was published. There's an indication of the type of publication. Most of them are just JOUR, that's a peer-reviewed scientific journal. The year of publication, whether it's a peer-reviewed journal or not. And again, you've got the paginator and the details for the selected publication. So most publications in journals offer an abstract. So you can see here that that tells you as a kind of summary of what the paper's discussing and the main conclusions. For example, here, the main conclusion is the effect of man-made CO2 emissions does not appear to be strong enough to cause systemic changes in the temperature fluctuations during the last 200 years. Okay, some of these articles have a digital object identifier, a DOI. If they do, then the DOI is shown here as a link, and you can click on it and it'll open the article, so you can actually see the original article, and in some cases you can even download the full text as a PDF or read it online, you know, in addition to just the abstract. So that is quite a useful facility. Again, you can, let's let's say you wanted 2023 results. Add that as a filter. Let's just download that as a PDF. So we got these results. Tells you what it is, publications, it's filtered on the string 2023, it's sorted on publication year descending, and there's 58 records. The next category of information is declarations. So these are declarations that have been made in public. There's one that was made, it's called the World Climate Declaration. You can see that was in 2023, or the latest update, or was at any rate. There was then 1,622 signatories. There's Climate Manifest, the European Climate Declaration, Open Letter to the United Nations. And again, where available, there is a link to the original text, which you can click on, and you can see the original text of the letter or the declaration or whatever it is. Here's the World Climate Declaration, that's the most significant of all of them, hosted by the Clintel.org, the Climate Intelligence Organization. And finally, a list of quotations. So, as I say, this is embryonic. Here's John Clauser, a very eminent climatologist, saying, I can very confidently assert there is no climate emergency. Here's another one, etc., etc. So, if you, let's say you wanted to focus on the scientists, and you wanted to see the science that they've published, clicking on scientists makes scientists the master list, and all the other lists become detailed lists. So let's click on this Professor Richard Lindzen. He's an American atmospheric physicist. He's written quite a lot of science. Oh, sorry, no, he's signed quite a few of these declarations, and he's published quite a few scientific articles in peer-reviewed journals. And there's another page full there. There we go. So that's 8. There very probably are more papers that he's published. We just haven't got them into the database yet. So there we go. That is it was supposed to be brief. It's gone on for 20 minutes. But hopefully that gives you a reasonable overview of the kind of data that's in here and the ways in which you can use it and export it and share it and what have you. Just one last thing. There are a page full of instructions linked from the top right. Click on that. Will give you a page full of instructions on how to use the various elements of the web app. All of this stuff is open source, so you can review the source if you like. It's all on GitHub. This is the client source. Here's the server-side source, and if you think of an enhancement or you hit a bug, please feel free to report it here under Issues for the Climate Science Client. There aren't any open at the moment. There were 12. They've all been fixed. And then there is a matching, we call it the climate page. This is a page on the the Campaign Resources website. It hosts a leaflet, which is a PDF, an A5 format, double-sided, full colour, PDF leaflet summarising the main findings. I won't go through all these, but these are the claims that are commonly made by climate contrarians. There's a link to the web app that we've just been looking at, and there's also 5 documents containing a kind of sample of the data from the database. This is not up to date. Generally speaking, you get the most up-to-date data from the web app itself. And if you're interested, the Campaign Resources main website is linked from the top left, and it hosts a number of different campaigns on a number of different topics that are related to human freedom, health, sovereignty, and truth and freedom. So those are the categories. Most of these pages offer some information, some references, and also an A5 leaflet that you can download the artwork. If you want some leaflets, you can download the artwork and get it printed at one of these online web printers. It's all print ready to go. Down here, a list of the popular campaigns. So you've got about climate change, central bank digital currency, coronavirus, Wi-Fi and 5G, vaccine safety and efficacy, and so on. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. That concludes the presentation.